Okay, hi there, my name is Mark Sajan, and this is about creating a panda, a bamboo arm or legs. Choice is up to you. So here's the reference image I received. So how to do it? So first of all, yes, we have to launch ZBrush, and we don't need Lightbox at the time, so let me turn off with a comma key, and start from Simple Brush, Cylinder, drag it out, and press T to enter edit mode. Okay, Shift F to see actually what type of wire we have. We can't really sculpt on this yet, and we don't want to. What we are looking for is the initialize, and first of all, this is the most important thing here because the reference is showing the image here. So there is a cavity, so we want to get to that. All right, so to do that, the inner radius will be adjusted. So let me just increase it first and hold on for a second. So before I hit make polymesh, I want to make further adjustments to make it as close as possible to the reference drawing. But how to use reference drawing as a kind of a wallpaper, as a background, a virtual background for our work, we can actually activate the floor grid. But first, let me turn this off and show draw and drag it and drop. And what we're looking for is this front and back, this map. It is grayed out. So you have to push this button here, floor, or press here, or just Shift P. And now it will become available. So let me hit map 1, an important map. That's the BambooPanda. Import it, and now it's boom, it's there. Problem is, it's not exactly just a front image. Actually, we have both. So we can click on adjust and just walk around here with the pan and just touching these areas. I don't need to be super duper accurate, and my advice, no matter how good references you have, references are great, but follow your instincts. Alright, so you have to make decisions sometimes and not sticking too much to the reference, because it could be a bondage instead of a help. So this is what we're looking for now, and to go further, what you need to know of is we have this fill mode, and 0 basically turns it off, and 1 is the default. 2 will make it a little bit more stronger on the vision, and 3 will make it see-through. So our model is see-through. It's good for tracing things, and good to keep the reference in mind. Now in this case, what I will do, I want to elongate this whole thing. Let me go back to fill mode number 2. And the goal here is to make it a little bit longer and less, the diameter should be a little bit lower. So I can adjust it, it's already 100, the Z size, that's the overall length. Actually, this is the length, this is 100. So I will just set this X to 45, and maybe a Y to 45 too. You can use tab button to cycle through these values if you wish. Don't try to adjust with using the slider with the pen or the mouse. It's just a pain. So just highlight it, tap in, and type in the numbers. That will be much easier. Okay, so what else? This is a little bit annoying, the floor plan. So if I'm hitting on Shift M is the hotkey for magnify. Let me show that. That's tiny Y. I'm turning this off. And now it's a little bit easier to view things. And actually, the inner radius should be a little bit lower because we will use subdivisions on it, and that can lose some info there. So 80, 70, 78, yeah, 78. It's a little bit thicker, but when it gets rounded, it will be closer to the sketch I have here. All right, now what else? These polygons are definitely stretchy. So what we have to do is, the overall is 32. I will increase it to 64, so I'll double that value. And according to that, these polygons now are even more stretched. So V divide should be cranked up. How much? I'm looking for the square shape. so it's still a rectangular shape instead of a square. Oh, 90. That's good. Sounds good. Looks good. Okay. So here we are. This is the base model we are looking for. All right. Now we can go and make it a polymesh model. Make polymesh. And the color of the material, Shift F, it's a little bit darker. So that's my default material, but basic material is usually a little bit lighter. The most and the lightest is Skin Shade 4, but it's I think the basic material and fast shader. Fast shader is also good for the eye. I like it a lot, but basic material is good for sculpting and for the eye as well. Okay, now what else? So it's time to move it in position, and but before we do that, we want to perform the sculpting actually. The reason we do this is because now this tube is vertical and it's easy to maintain symmetry, easy to use radial symmetry here, and then once we have made the sculpting, then we can move it into position. So where to find those things? In Transform, let me drag and drop it on below and activate symmetry. This is a left and right symmetry, good. But we want more of it, so let me turn off, let me turn on actually subdivisions, because we can do a nice and smooth sculpting. So Ctrl D once and Ctrl D twice. So what I did practically, I've increased the numbers of the resolution. So now this is the original resolution, the first level, and then 1, and there is 2. So now we have 3 subdivision levels, which was fair enough to sculpt on. Okay, we can go with a higher resolution, but I think this is 92,000, which one is a good base model for creating general details. Okay, by pressing Ctrl D, you are actually pressing this button. By pressing Shift D, you are clicking on this lower res. That's Shift D. And if you press D, it will go to the higher resolution. Now we are working on the highest resolution. That's the level 3. And I don't press Ctrl D anymore because I don't want to go further at this stage. And we have radial symmetry. Let me activate radial symmetry here. And Shift F to make it a little bit easier on the eye. And as you see, we have these radial counts, but it's the wrong axis. It's actually following the red x-axis, so it's not good. We're switching to y. Now this is funny because we have both x and y to activate it, so let me turn off x, and now this is good. The amount, the number of these reference points, it's a little bit low, so when I start sculpting, it will be a little bit lumpy. So it's hard to control and how to create a nice round curvature. So instead of that, I will use and increase the radial count to about 32, which was a fairly high number. And now we can start and work this. Basically, the reference drawing doesn't have any things like that. It's just me explaining a couple things. So let me undo this and a few settings about the standard. So as you may know already, that by default the standard uses the lazy mouse. So here's in the stroke menu we have lazy mouse, and lazy mouse function is actually, it's a good thing if you want to clean up your line work and want to draw curvy nice lines. But at this stage it's too short and it's actually slowing down the build-up. So let me turn off the lazy mouse, or you can press letter L. Here it is. So letter L turns on and off. Alright, let me turn it off. And when I do this, usually the brush will be too strong. So it's harder to control. U, or intensity, U, and reduce intensity and just create a nice little border around here. And we can use Shift and smooth out things, and that's good. That's how it works. Alright, so it's a great thing to deal with. Alright, now somewhere in the middle I will hold down the Alt key and start sculpting in. So now we have a kind of an indent going all around, and on the sides I will just elevate these. This is a little bit larger in scale that you can see on here. The reason is we will use something called pinch. to pull these parts together. So the brush is B, Peter, Ivan. Let me increase the size. So brush, Peter, Ivan, that's the code, BPI, pinch. And maybe the intensity will be a little bit too much. So I will start with a lower intensity and I can pull in these, alright? That's how it looks. I'm fine with this, but according to the drawing, there should be a little bit of a bigger gap. You can be DS, you can use the dam standard and cut it deeper if you wish, and then smooth it out. So you can have plenty of controls. Alright, now let me go back, and here's the big question. So how to make it fit as it is indicated in the drawing. So let me first press X to turn off symmetry, and switch to W and move, and the goal here is to move it according to position. And right away the center, the move gizmo is actually placed in the center of the element. Now it's not bad, but it is easier if we can move it along. So I'm holding down Alt key, and that way this lock opens up and I can drag this cursor, the indicator, and release the Alt key, and now I can move it, and the center of movement is aligned. And of course we want to make it see-through, so fill mode is set to 3, and move and adjust, rotate. Okay, I don't care at this stage about this slant, this angle. I'm just looking for, in general, as a bounding box, so this will be a little bit lower, but yeah. The overall circumference, the diameter, will be lowered down later on. Okay, now, so what's next? We want to use a deformer. A deformer that lies here, so we have this deformer panel, and this is the we are looking for. This is the deformer. Okay, the all through thing. Now here's the problem. It says that the mesh is composed of multiple subdivision levels, delete or freeze subdivision levels. So if you have already opened this geometry, here we have the resolutions and we have divide, and we have this freeze subdivision levels, which one is, it's too good to be true many times. And if you don't want to waste time in experimenting right away, you can actually just delete the resolutions you don't need. And later on, you can always use ZBrush to rebuild your model, or you can convert it to Dynamesh with a high resolution, or there's so many solutions. This freeze subdivision is working in some cases, but in this case, for example, it's not. So what we can do is delete lower, and now if we are using Deformer, it works. Now it has some points. Actually, there is multiple settings you can adjust, but here this is a default one, and it works nicely. You can adjust the number of points. You can adjust the interaction with that, and for example, just various symmetrical thing. So if this one is symmetrical to that angle, you can use this this pole. Here you can adjust the numbers. So it's up to you. Basically, the default one here should do well. And the way you select the points to move is holding down Control. So holding down Control and masking an area, and ideally it's holding Control and Alt. That is the selection in this case. Okay, so Control and Alt. But this is a little bit clumsy. And okay, I've just managed to have less points. All right, this is good now. So this is a little bit clumsy. The reason is it's working better with the lasso tool. So holding down Control and mask pen, it's switch from mask pen to mask lasso, and now you can drag lasso like this. Okay, so Control drag, there's no selection running, Control and Alt, and I'm selecting this area. These are the points I want, and going in and using the scale, and go to the front view. And reducing carefully because it's hard to pick on this guy. So I'm holding over the yellow little center. That's where I pick with a pen. Okay, I think it's fair enough now. Control and drag to remove selection. Control and Alt and circle lasso isolate these points. Now center. Reduce it. Okay, good. Move it a little bit. There is a slight angle, which one I do like a lot. Move it to the side view. I don't know exactly, but I will just try to move it to this direction to add a little bit of an arc. And of course the rest. So here we are. Here we are with the rest. Move it to the front a little bit. Rotate around. This outer gray circle is rotate about camera plane. So that's how it works. And now we can move in and slightly rotate these angles. Rotate and right. Good. Yeah. Okay, it's picking up fairly well that he does. All right. Good. Looks good. Looks promising. Here we go. And if you are satisfied with this, you can go and hit accept. And of course, we can reduce film mode or just simply press Shift P. And now you can see everything. It's much easier to turn Shift P on and off than going into choose the film mode. So if you want to have a better vision, Shift P, and then you're easily select points and manipulate, and then Shift P back to check the reference. Okay, here we are. And of course we want to make it symmetrical, but what do you think if the legs are so similar in shape and form and structure? We can actually go back in history and look at the time and position when these are actually done. And I can duplicate this guy and select the original one. Select the original one and go back with the history. And now we have two of these. So visibility there. So now we have two of these, and I can drag and move, and of course rotate the same way I did. And of course just Deformer. Yeah, I have the warning message. So actually I could skip this if I choose wisely the history. But now just delete lower, and then we can go back and use the same thing. And of course, don't forget that you could go into subtool, select the model, for example, the arm, and let me just dial down this film mode, and we could go with Z plugin and subtool master and mirror and press OK, and boom, we're good to go. And if you want to paint, you can increase the resolution a little bit more. And if you want to just simply paint symmetrically, you know, you can use anything like X symmetry, but don't forget now we have it adjusted, so you have to adjust it back to the default one. You know, this is the default one, so we can go paint on left and right side, activate symmetry easily. Y is off. Okay, that's it. And if you don't want to see the planes anymore, we can actually just turn this off, like texture off, and we are good to go. Turn this off entirely. Okay, so that's how it goes. Thank you very much and have fun. See you next time. Goodbye.